What up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 1 of Dragon Ball Daima, and there will be spoilers in this video, so just know that beforehand. Now, before I get into the episode itself, I do want to talk about a couple of things that was, pertaining to the show as a whole. Like, one, when the show was announced and how I felt about it and my thoughts about now watching it after it was first announced. And also the fact that it was stated that when they did the trailer for the English dub version, that they're going to be dropping out the first 3 episodes in selective theaters. And I tried to get tickets for it, but sadly it just didn't work out. And I'm kind of pissed about it, but I'm still happy that I got to watch the episode. But I got to go to the theaters, I could have watched it a day before, it actually released. And also on top of that, I could have pretty much, saw all 3 of the episodes at once, but now I'm going to probably have to wait a couple of weeks for the next episodes to come out because I'm pretty sure this show is going to be going weekly like how Dragon Ball Super did. But going on to how I felt about it when it first was stated that this was going to be, the next series that was going to be coming out instead of continued Dragon Ball Super, honestly, I was kind of annoyed. I was pretty much pissed about it. I didn't like it. But if I'm being honest, now watching it, I really do enjoy it. It's just that I felt like we were departing from the story that we were going ahead. We were going in one direction. We were like pretty much going continuously with the story. And then we have a departure to this non-canon type of story, which was stated when it was first announced. And I was just like, Dragon Ball Super is continuing the story. And then we have this other story like Daima where it's going another direction, which has nothing really to do with Super, and I just felt like that was kind of a dumb choice in my opinion. But after watching it now and taking the whole idea of it not being canon, because it isn't canon, and I'll explain in this video, I'll go into what happened in the story and why it actually isn't canon. But I look at it now like how I think about superheroes or the superhero game, from the arcade game. A lot of people, some people complain about like it not making sense or whatever. I don't care because it's not canon, so it's okay. So that's how I'm going to view Daima. I'm just going to be like, it's not canon, so it doesn't matter if things don't make really that much sense. I'm just going to watch it and enjoy it. And I actually did enjoy it. Now, some people might say, well, you were kind of giving it crap from the beginning. Yes, I was giving it crap for the concept of it and the idea of it making a non-canon story instead of continuing the actual canon story. That's the problem that I had with it. I didn't have a problem with everything because the story and the writing, I didn't know what it was going to be. I had to wait for it to come out. So that I always said from the beginning that I want to wait to see what, how it's written to see if it's good or not. So I couldn't really judge it on that before, but now I can. But the art and the animation, I never judged that. When I first saw the trailer, I already knew that this show was going to look really good and crisp and clean. My only problem was the fact that they didn't do this for Dragon Ball Super, which was actually continuing the actual story, but this story is non-canon and they made it look beautiful. So that was my only problem when it came to the art and the animation as a whole. In general, I think it looks good. I just felt like it was kind of a slap in the face of us fans because they didn't do the same thing for Super, which actually continued the story, and I felt like it was kind of dumb. But yeah, watching it, it looked really beautiful. It started with showing the sun, and the sun looked very realistic. It looked very hyper, detailed. It looked really good. I really liked the way that they made the art look. It looked so crisp and clean because a lot of people nowadays been, talking about JJK or, Demon Slayer and how great the art and animation is there. But Dragon Ball Daima has some top tier animation itself. It looks beautiful. It was immaculate. I loved it. The way they made the sun look, then the way they made Goku look and the way he fought, it looked really great. Also, I'm going to say something that's going to be a little controversial and kind of piss some people off. I like the art style of Dragon Ball Daima way more than Dragon Ball Super Broly. I know a lot of people love Dragon Ball Super Broly's art style. They said it's one of the best. Personally, I didn't feel that way because I felt like the bodies looked a little mushy and it didn't look like they were properly drawn. Like their body looked like disproportionate. Like it just looked weird, the design. I didn't really like that. And I know a lot of people really love Dragon Ball Super Broly's design. They said it was their favorite. Personally, I did not like it. But this one, I really love. This is my favorite Dragon Ball art style of all time. There's nothing I've ever seen in Dragon Ball that looked better than this because they showed us like Frieza and Cell and Kid Buu. And Frieza, Cell, and Kid Buu, they look so good in this. They showed Majin and Vegeta. He looked so beautiful. The fighting, they showed a bit of fighting in this episode, but even with that bit of fighting that they showed, it was really, really good. So that really, really, impressed me and blew me away. Now getting into the episode, what happened? The first few minutes, I think it was like 5 or like around 10 minutes of the episode was just recapping, who Goku is, the backstory, and a little bit about, the characters and stuff. Personally, I didn't care for that. I felt like that was not necessary, but I'm guessing they're doing that for the new fans that don't know enough about Dragon Ball. But for me, as a fan who's seen all of Dragon Ball and all this stuff, I just felt like it was pointless. I wanted it to, skip it because I usually do that when I watch an anime or a show and they have like pointless scenes like that. I kind of skip them, but it looked so good and it looked so crisp and clean that I just couldn't skip it. I just had to watch it. So even though, I felt like the first 5-10 minutes was not necessary, I do enjoy the way it looked at least. Now, after that, we start off with in the demon realm, and we have these 2 new characters that we've been seeing. We have this Supreme Kai looking guy, which most likely he's a Daikaiotion since he's in the demon realm. And we have this other guy who's apparently, since Dabura died, he became the new Demon King. So his name is Desu, I'm pretty sure. So we have Desu and then the other Supreme Kai guy. I'm going to just call him a Supreme Kai. I know he's not. But the other Supreme Kai guy, I don't think they named, I don't think they gave us his name or what his name was. Or maybe I forgot. I don't know. But we know the new Demon King's name is Desu, which personally, if I'm being honest, even though I like the art style in this and, the animation, I don't really like Desu's design. I think he looks lame. If I'm being honest, Dabura looked cool as hell as a, Demon King, but this guy looks kind of goofy. He's like a short little, weird little gremlin looking creature, and it just doesn't look, like an actual like Demon King or a threat. But what is happening for the first, I think, like, maybe around like 20 minutes of this, not 20 minutes, that's too much. Like, first, like, half of the episode is pretty much them just seeing what's happening in the Buu saga, which kind of, it was both, I liked the stuff that they're explaining, but I also felt like they wasted too much time on that. It's like, I get it, they want to showcase that around the time and the events of Buu saga, that the demon realm also was seeing what was happening and it had effects on them because they had just lost their king. And then Buu is, he's a Majin, so he's most likely has some ties to the demon realm itself. So they had all that, but they explained some pretty cool, interesting things. As they were seeing them fight, Buu and all this stuff, they were surprised about how powerful Buu was and how powerful the Saiyans were. They actually didn't know Goku and Vegeta were Saiyans. They were kind of assuming that they might be, from the demon realm themselves and demons. But then they looked at their ears and they said their ears weren't pointy. So apparently, people from the demon realm have pointy ears. That's kind of one of their, I guess, like tell signs or call signs that you can tell that they're from the demon realm. But they're like, we don't know what they are. They didn't know that they were Saiyans. And then the Supreme Kai guy was like, wait, they fired light out of their hands, which I'm like, why are you surprised? Can't you guys, use energy projection before? Like, Dragon Ball characters constantly use ki blasts. I don't know why they're acting like it's a new thing. Why they're surprised that they can do it, but whatever. They were surprised they could fire energy blasts out of their hand. And then the Supreme Kai actually mentioned something pretty interesting. He said that they can fire light out of their hands and they can also use magic, which really surprised me because I've never ever heard anybody state that Goku and Vegeta can use magic. I know some people might say that, ki might be magical, but there's been disagreements on that ki isn't magical. But apparently by the Supreme Kai statement that both Goku and Vegeta where you have magical power. So they not only can use ki, but they can also use apparently magic, which, caught me by surprise. But also even more surprising than that, we find out that this Supreme Kai guy is the younger brother of Shin, which is weird because Shin never mentioned he had a brother. And he also said he was the last Supreme Kai until the Elder Kai came out. So it's weird to say that since he has a brother, unless his brother's a Daikaiotion, which it makes sense since he's in the demon realm, but it's also kind of confusing since he's the brother of him, but he's a Supreme Kai, but he's a Daikaiotion. I just don't know how that works. Hopefully they explain it later in the other episodes of the show, but within the first episode, we do get revealed he has a brother and he resides in the demon realm. And as this is happening, as they're watching the story transpire, the new demon king basically states that Bobby's plan was to invade other dimensions. So he wasn't just gonna invade the living universe and kill like all the people in the living universe. He was also gonna attack the other dimensions, the demon realm included, and try to take over that realm as his and conquer it. Which was surprising because from what we've been explained about Bobby's plan, what Boo was, his plan was pretty much just to systematically wipe out all life in the universe. And that was pretty much all we heard about him. I didn't know that he wanted to conquer any place, and especially the demon realm. I don't know if that was also part of his plan, but apparently that was. And he stated that he could destroy everything, which just makes Boo even more of a big threat. If not only could he, because it was stated in the Boo saga that he could destroy the universe, eventually. So that was like a big statement, but now apparently he could destroy the other realms outside of just the living universe, which is also pretty impressive. Now, where does this story place? Since they mentioned a lot about the Boo saga, it actually places right after the Boo saga. It's like around a year because Trunks is having his birthday and he's turned 9, and we know in the Boo saga he was 8, so it's probably around like a year or less than a year. A year has passed since the Boo saga. So nope, there is no Dragon Ball Super in this. There's no Battle of Gods. Now that doesn't automatically mean that it's not canon because of that, but there is something that they explain and something I saw in the trailers that kind of hints to it being not canon because of this. But there's no Battle of Gods in this one. There's no Dragon Ball Super. So this is literally just a year or around a year after the Boo saga. So we get a little bit of context clue on where this show starts, which kind of disappointed me because I would have loved to see Battle of Gods in this art style and see Beerus and Nub fight, but they're not going to be in this, so don't expect that. It's only going to be after the Boo saga, so that means Goku's going to have Super Saiyan 3, Vegeta's going to have Super Saiyan 2, and Gohan's going to be the strongest because he has his mystic form, and they are weaker than Kid Buu at this point still. But they're still so powerful that the Demon King himself sees them as a severe threat, and that he can undermine his ruling and beat him and the other Supreme Kai. But we also get revealed something even more interesting, as there's another character that comes up and gets introduced, and she's a female character. I forgot what her name was, but she's apparently the sister of the Supreme Kai in the Demon Realm, which now means that not only does Shin have a brother, but he also has a sister, and they both reside in the Demon Realm. And that means he has two siblings that are most likely Daikaioshins, which is pretty interesting to see. But she comes in, she's apparently a doctor and she's a researcher, and she's talking to him saying that, hey, these guys are pretty powerful. I saw what they were capable of doing. You're happy that you are now the new king of the Demon Realm, but these guys beat Majin Buu, who killed Dabura. So these guys are clearly way more powerful than you. What if they come here and invade this world? Which obviously won't happen. Goku and Vegeta don't care about that. They're not going to go into other dimensions just to, invade them. They're not going to invade the Demon Realm. There's no point of going there to invade that realm itself. But she puts this into his head. Now he's getting paranoid. He's a little scared. And he's like, maybe I shouldn't go after them. So he's suggesting, he's thinking of using the Earth's Dragon Balls to basically, turn them into kids. So that's where the main plot point of this show comes from, because she pretty much implemented in his head that they're going to come there and invade and attack them, and that he should act before they do that. So his plan was to get the Dragon Balls to use it against them, to turn them into children. But they did also mention something pretty interesting, that they mentioned that, wait, they have a Namekian in there? And they were surprised that there was a Namekian in there in the living world for some reason. And I'll explain that later in this video. But they were surprised about that. And then they also mentioned that they do have the Dragon Balls in the Demon Realm too. So we have another set of Dragon Balls in the Dragon Ball universe. So there's the Earth Dragon Balls, the Namekian Dragon Balls, and now obviously Super Dragon Balls, but in this show they don't have that. But now they have the Demon Realms Dragon Balls. And the difference between the Demon Realms Dragon Balls and the Earth ones are a little bit more interesting and unique. Apparently in the Demon Realms one, the reason why he's not going for those Dragon Balls and he's going for the Earth's Dragon Balls is the reason why he's not going for that is because the demon realm's Dragon Balls are actually protected and guarded by specific guardians. Apparently, the person who made the Dragon Balls in the demon realm also created these like robotic kind of guards to protect them from anybody taking them and using it for a wish. And he wasn't powerful enough to beat them. He said they're too strong, so I'm not gonna fight them. So we're just gonna go to Earth because they seem easier to get, and we're gonna take them for our own. So now they're going on enacting their plan. They go to try to leave the demon realm to go to Earth, to go to the living universe, and to go to Earth specifically to get their Dragon Balls and make their wish. And they had 3 specific wishes, or 2 pretty much. And the third one, they didn't really specify what it's going to be. But the first wish was obviously to turn them to children. Then the second wish was to get this third eye thing. It was something about a third eye that apparently it would give them an immense amount of power if they obtain it. And apparently that Dubura's father, Abura, who was the former king, he got rid of the thing because it was very, I guess, too powerful or too dangerous or whatever. But he got rid of this item, and now they want it back. So they're going to try to use the wish to get this. And when I heard this, I was like thinking, wait, is it an actual third eye, or is it like something like, like an artifact, like a gem or some shit like that? And the reason why it matters is if it's a third eye, then this might have something to do with Tien, because we know Tien has a third eye. And we know he's from this Triclops race. They're considered like a godly race or some shit like that. So maybe we might get some explanation or backstory on, Tien himself. But it depends. If it's a gem, then it's most likely not. But if they're actually talking about third eye, then maybe Tien might have some connections, which is pretty interesting. But then the third wish, the Supreme Kai said, "Can I have that wish?" He's like, "I'll think about it." So we don't know what his wish is going to be with that, but we know the first 2 wishes now. So they're trying to leave this place. They walk out, and then we see the other Dragon Balls. The Demon Realm's Dragon Balls is basically on this like podium thingy, or like the stand thing, and it has this guard on it who's standing there to protect it, so they can't take it. And these Dragon Balls are actually pretty huge. They're the size of a human. They're like human-sized Dragon Balls. They're kind of like the Namekian Dragon Balls, but even bigger. And they look pretty unique. They kind of looked a little digital. I don't know how to explain it. They kind of look like holograph, but they were Dragon Balls, and they were bigger than the Earth ones and even the Namekian ones, and they were also guarded. And then we see somebody coming up, and it's Namekian. So now I was confused. I was like, you know what? When they first stated that there was Dragon Balls in the Demon Realm, my assumption was, well, I had 2 kind of theories. I was like, either they have a Namekian or a demonic Namekian in the Demon Realm, or they have some other person from another race that can also create Dragon Balls. But nope, it wasn't a Namekian. So they had this really old Namekian coming up, and he looked very old and decrepit. He was walking really weird, but he was the one who created the Dragon Balls, and he created the Guardians to protect the Dragon Balls. So they took him with them to go to pretty much to Earth to what's the thing called, to take the Dragon Balls there. So they got into this little ship, and they're about to leave, and there's this weird big fish metallic creature coming up saying, "Where are you guys going?" And he's like, "We're leaving, we're going to the other dimension." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then it opens up its mouth, and they go inside the mouth, and it closes the mouth, and then there's this inner like compartment thingy that also opens up, and as it opens up, they go inside it, and it basically transports them into this a little pocket area. And I'm guessing it's like a little pocket dimension, so it's like a transporter to throughout the other realms in the macrocosm. So it transports them there, and they're talking to the thing inside it, and he's saying, "So where are you? Which universe are you trying to go to?" They say Universe 7. He said, "Which area or planet?" So they were saying pretty much Earth. So now apparently this thing in the Demon Realm, it allows you to travel throughout, other realms, but also other universes, and it can selectively pick where throughout the universe that you want to go. So they use this to go to Earth so they can get the Dragon Balls there. And they saw the events that happened in the Blue Saga, so they see, Dende and the Lookout. So they go there. We have the Z Fighters now also having a party. They're throwing a birthday party for Trunks because he turned 9. So while they're having their party right there, these guys are going to the Lookout to get the Dragon Balls. So now we have 2 different events here. I want to still continue on the Demon King's plan, and then I'll go to what was happening with the Z Fighters, because there wasn't much with the Z Fighters, but there was some pretty funny dialogue and some interesting dialogue with them there. But let's just stick on to the Demon King's plan. So first he arrives to the lookout. Dende and Pobo are really surprised. They're shocked. They're nervous. Like, what's happening? So this guy pops out. They all pop out, and he's like, "Who are you guys?" He's like, "We're from the demon realm." And then he's like, "Technically, your ancestors are also from the demon realm. Look at your ears; they're pointy. People from the demon realm have pointy ears." So now this is a new shocking revelation, and I was just like, "Wait, wait, what the fuck?" So apparently, the Namekians are not from the living universe. They're actually from the demon realm. Somehow they escaped the demon realm and went to the living universe and then occupied a planet, called it Namek, and then became, an alien race in the universe. And then they created the Super Dragon Ball. Not Super Dragon Balls. They created the Dragon Balls, and then that created Purunga, and then Kami left to Earth, and then he created just the Earth Dragon Balls. So apparently in Daima, we got to explain that Namekians are not from the living universe. They're from the demon realm, and they're technically demons. And we've always had this little weird back and forth with, Piccolo. When he was first introduced, like Demon King Piccolo, he was considered a demon, and then his children were considered demons. And then Piccolo was also considered the reincarnation of Demon King Piccolo, making him a demon. So we had all this demon talking shit in Dragon Ball. But then we got into Dragon Ball Z, and when Nappa and Vegeta first came, they're like, "Oh, look, it's a Namekian." And he's like, "Namekian?" He's like, "Yeah, you're an alien race, this and that." So they basically went from, "Oh, they're demons," to, "Oh, no, you're not a demon. You're an alien from a planet called Namek, and you're a Namekian." So for a long time after that, Z was like, "Nope, they're not demons anymore." So they changed that, but now with Dragon Ball Daima, they now are stating that actually they are from the demon realm. They just came to the living universe and came to an alien planet. So technically they are aliens, but they're pretty much demons. So the whole thing in Dragon Ball, when we were talking about them being demons and then changing them to being aliens, it's actually technically now back to being demons. But once again, this is non-canon, so it really depends. But that was really interesting and really surprised me. I'm like, what? And the elder Namekian comes out and he starts talking about it. He says, "I haven't seen another Namekian in thousands of years," which is insane. So he's thousands of years old, and he hasn't seen one in thousands of years. So most likely he's the only Namekian in the demon realm. So I'm guessing the entire Namekian race left the demon realm, and they're their own set of demons in there, went to the living universe, became a new alien race, or pretended to be an alien race, and then he was the only one left in the demon realm, and he hasn't seen them. But they brought him because apparently not only did he create the Dragon Balls in his realm, but also he is really he has really unique and powerful ability. So he comes up, he goes to the lookout, and he's the one who's gonna be finding all the Dragon Balls. Even though they don't have a Dragon Ball radar, they use this old Namekian. So what he does is he looks around, and apparently he can sense the Dragon Balls, and he senses that the Dragon Balls have been recently used. So since they've been recently used, that they're inactive. They're rocks and stones. So he can detect them, and he can tell that they're rocks. But he says that's fine. So he raises up his hand. As he raises up his hand, his eyes glow red, and he's able to pick up the Dragon Balls that are stones at this point out of the different locations, collect them all and gather them and bring them down. So not only is he able to detect them, he's able to tell if they're, a stone, and he's able also to pull them all together in one place. So he brings them all together, and they're all shocked. But he does something even crazier than that. As he goes up to the Dragon Balls, he says they're inactive. So the Demon King was like, "Well, make them active now." So he uses his power, he waves his hand around it, and apparently it turns from stone to back to being the, Dragon Balls, and now they're active, which is crazy. We've never seen a Namekian being able to do any of this stuff. We thought Dende was really impressive on with what he was capable of doing when he first came to, fix the Dragon Balls. But apparently this Namekian is even more impressive, because not only could he sense where they are, he could sense in what state they're in, but he could also bring them all into one place. And even if they're inactive, he can activate them, prematurely, which is very, very impressive and pretty interesting. So now we have a new Namekian. We also see new, unique abilities on what they're capable of. They have a higher mastery of their magical abilities. But this is just insane. He was able to bring them and then activate them prematurely. That was pretty cool. So then they use it obviously to get Shenron and then wish for them to turn into kids. So that's all we see in the end of that episode is them turning it into kids or being in the process of being turned into kids. So we don't see the second wish being granted yet. Though Dende did actually try to stop them. He tried his hardest because they came from the demon realm and he doesn't know what the fuck they're planning. So he tried to stop them, but the Supreme Kai guy kind of chopped him and took him out. So they couldn't really do anything about that. Now so that was the end of pretty much, the Demon King's story and what he was doing. Now let's go to what happened with the Z Fighters. There wasn't too much, but there was some interesting dialogue and some funny dialogue. So we had Trunks turning 9. Krillin comes up to him. He's like, "Hey, how old are you, Trunks?" He's like, "Oh, I just turned 9." And Krillin starts kind of bullying him. He's like, "But you're kind of short, you haven't grown at all." And and Trunks is like, he said, look who's talking. You're a midget. He didn't say the midget part, but he's like, look who's talking. Why are you talking? But it was just funny. I just love that. The fact that, Krillin was giving him shit for not growing up, getting any taller, which is actually important because a lot of us as fans, for a long time until, Dragon Ball Superheroes, where they made them, actually look more mature, we've been asking, when are they going to look, older? When are they going to look bigger? And even that they themselves had acknowledged in the show that they were kind of, still pretty young looking or small looking, even though there's been a lot of time that has passed. But it was fun to see Krillin kind of, point that out, and then him making fun of Krillin for being short. And then Goku stated that Saiyans don't have a growth spurt until they turn 15, which that's what happened with him. And then he mentions, he talks about Vegeta. He's like, though I don't think Vegeta has grown much. I was like, yo, dude, Goku's a dick. And Vegeta's like, do you want to pick a fight or something? But that part of killed me. I was like, okay, first of all, Krillin's roasting Trunks, then Trunks is roasting Krillin. And then Goku, for some random ass reason, just has to roast or make fun of Vegeta for no reason. He just straight up says, Vegeta, he's like, Vegeta didn't grow, it must not have had that much of an effect on Vegeta because he didn't get that big. I'm like, dude, you did not need to say that. That's why people think Goku's kind of a dick, because he says shit like that unnecessarily just to insult somebody. And I guess that justifies why Vegeta doesn't like Goku that much, because Goku does do a lot of disrespectful ass shit like that. But yeah, he's like, you want to fight? But before they even got into fighting, there were Goku's like, okay, whatever. He starts he looks at Supreme Kai and starts talking to him. He's like, hey, Supreme Kai, why are you not fused? Aren't you and Kibito supposed to be fused? And he said something pretty funny himself. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we were, but Kibito's kind of old, so I don't want to be fused. And Kibito's like, what? That show is hilarious. Goku first roasts Vegeta for being short, and then Shin roasts Kibito for being old. But he's like, yeah, I don't want to be fused any longer, so we got ourselves separated. And he's like, how did it happen? He said, well, Boo, we saw what happened with you guys when you fused into Vegito, and you guys were supposed to be permanent. But once when you went inside Boo, you guys split up for some reason. So we assumed that because you were inside Boo, that's why you guys split up. So we did the same thing. Me and Kibito both went inside Boo because apparently he has a gas inside his body. They found out that he has a gas within his body that can break things apart. So it broke apart their fusion, and then it worked the same thing for them. So yes, the theory that we've been having for a long ass time about why Vegito defused, the arguments were like, well, they were inside Boo's body, so Boo's body might be able to break down stuff like how you break down food, and it was digesting it, so it broke them down from fusion. And it was confirmed in Daima. Though in Dragon Ball Super, they had a different explanation on why that was the case. They stated they just used the Dragon Balls. And there's something interesting and important for that, because this changes how fusions work in Dragon Ball Daima compared to Dragon Ball Super. And this also showcases why this is not canon, because in Super, it was stated that they defused through using the Dragon Balls, nothing about Boo. And then 2, they only diffused after in the Dragon Ball Super, where we get all to the way to the point of the Universe 6 versus 7 arc. When we get to that point, Goku asks, Supreme Kai, he's like, hey, what happened to you guys? I thought you guys were fused. And he mentions that they split because they used the Dragon Balls. So that already confirmed in my mind that this is non-canon. Not only because this is before the events of anything that happens in Dragon Ball Super, but also the fact that the Supreme Kai is no longer fused. In Dragon Ball Super, he was defused because of the wish on the Dragon Ball, but in this, it was Boo's gas that did it. And in Super, he did it later in the series. He did it after all those other events and all the way to the Universe 6 and 7 tournament arc. And in this one, he did it literally just within like a year or a few months after the Boo saga. So clearly the timelines don't match up and the methods of breaking apart don't. So clearly this is not canon to the, Dragon Ball Super and stuff. So this isn't what happened before Dragon Ball Super. So for any of you guys wondering if it's canon, no, it's not. This confirms that it's not canon. They did it a different way. But I like the way they did this because they say they just went inside Boo, the gas basically broke them apart, and then he spit them out so they can go back to their original size. So Boo helped them out. And that was a theory that we had for a long time, but the theory kind of got disproven in Dragon Ball Super when we got to the Goku Black arc, because apparently in the Goku Black arc, they explained that actually the fusion is not permanent for mortals. For, Supreme Kais, it is, or for Kais, it is, but for mortals, apparently it isn't. So that's why Goku and Vegeta broke apart, and then apparently it has a time limit, and then when they went to their blue state, their time limit was even shorter. So this pissed off a lot of people because they retconned that first, and then second of all, they kind of depowered the Potara fusion, because now the Potara fusion is just like, the Metamarines fusion, where it actually has a time limit. So that kind of ruined it for a lot of people. But in Daima, it's actually different. Since they stated that it was because of the gas and it had nothing to do with the time limit, then technically the fusion in Daima, it only broke apart because of Boo and not because of a time limit. Also, there was no time limit mentioned or anything about mortals having a time limit if they fused through Potara fusion. So technically, most likely they can use fusion without any time limits or time constraints while using the Potara fusion. So like, let's say they go to Super Saiyan, they're not going to go Super Saiyan Blue because they don't have that in this. So Super Saiyan 3, or even if they did do Super Saiyan Blue, they wouldn't defuse because in Super they had a time limit, and the more power you use, the shorter the time limit becomes. But since there's no time limit in this, it doesn't matter how much power they use. They can use high levels of amount of power and it won't decrease it because it should be permanent. So that was pretty cool. Also, like I said, we had a theory about the Boo's body, but Dragon Ball Super kind of got rid of that by saying that no, it was a time limit. But Daima actually kept that in and actually used that theory, saying that actually that's why they broke apart. It was because of the theory. So one, they confirmed the fans theory in Daima, where in Dragon Ball Super they kind of dispelled it. And in Daima, we don't get any mentions of a time limit. So the Potara fusion is most likely still permanent, whereas in Dragon Ball Super, it has a time limit. So there's the big thing there. But after that, Goku and Vegeta are like, you know what, let's fight. So they start fighting. They're going back and forth, and they're actually doing... Nobody's really distinctively winning. It's just a fun little clash between the two. But as they fight, it actually really looks good. The animation, like I said, is going to be great. It was looking really fluid. It was looking very powerful. Goku and Vegeta were in a beam struggle. Vegeta hit him with a Gal gun. Goku hit him with a Kamehameha, and then Goku went through his Kamehameha to punch Vegeta and send him flying. But as they were fighting, since the Demon King, had his wish, he turned both Goku and Vegeta and the rest of the crew into children. So you see them all moving weirdly, and then them starting to have the transition and change. Also, one thing that was interesting was what's his name? Shenron was asking him, he's like, how young do you want to make them? He's like, first graders. And he's like, what about the ones that are already children? He's like, oh, well, whatever, just make them babies. So Goten and Trunks are babies, and then the rest of the crew are first graders. They're the age of a first grader, which I forgot how old first graders are. So they'll probably be, I guess, around Goten and Trunks' age, or maybe even younger than that. But still, they're pretty young now, and they've been depowered because of that. And the reason why they did it this one is because they they were afraid of them, invading the demon realm, and they kind of want to take them out so they can have he can have his reign, and he's worried that they're too powerful. So to make them younger will make them weaker. So that was his plan the entire time. But yeah, this first episode was actually pretty enjoyable. I really liked it. I thought it was fun. It had some great, concepts and ideas. The things that I really liked about it, if I'm being honest, was the mentioning of the Namekians being demons, the demon realm having their own set of Dragon Balls, and Goku's the comedy in that was funny as hell. Goku roasting Vegeta, Supreme Kai roasting Kobito, that was funny. But I also like how they explained the fusion in that and how they broke apart, and that their fusion does not have a time limit. So I like that too. But they also kind of confirmed that this is non-canon, a non-canon story. So it really doesn't matter if it doesn't make too much sense, because, like I said, it is not even actually a part of canon. But one thing I do want to know is, are they going to take some of the concepts from this and then place it into the actual canon story? But we don't know until, we get more details later on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for next time.